I'm good.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm ready for my close-up, and then
Yeah, exactly. Oh my,
Smith.
I know. Yes. How have you been?
I'm
Woohoo.
doing great, feeling great. I looked at our podcast with our team yesterday. I looked at us, I think, what, 2020?
I know. I think quite a
I
long
was
time
number
ago.
48. What are you up to now?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. Like 160
60 something, right?
something like that. Yeah, I know. How wild. Wow. And I loved, so I mean, obviously we talked about a lot of things on that podcast, but I mention you frequently with your joy score terminology.
Yeah.
And people love that. Love, love, love.
I
Not to
think it's
mention
fair. I think,
all the other things.
yeah, I mean, we don't, like I said, I'm trying to keep it a little more focused because it was kind of a get to know
Yeah.
everything. And I want to, so how I'm thinking of is like to say, like, I want to talk a little bit about you and your approach. And because you know what I mean? I've been following you for years, and I want to talk about training versus treatment, right?
Yeah.
And you are mostly training, if I'm not mistaken, and you have a skill. And so I want to kind of shine a little light on you for that
Oh,
because it's training, right? And it's
yeah.
cognitive behavioral therapy. I figured that part out. And you're using some treatment things to aid or assist these people, right? And so
Totally.
I have something that I've put together that I want to share with you and your
Yes.
listeners. I have a thing that I'm creating, and we have version 1.0 called the Brain Sherpa.
Oh, love it.
A
Okay.
Brain Sherpa is going to give us all of the data points that we need to figure out how you're doing with your cognitive health.
Mm.
And the part that we have done now that I want to give free to any of the listeners that come in is a reaction time test.
Mm. Okay.
And so,
Amazing.
a reaction time test is used to test. We're going to talk about circadian medicine and light as
Sure.
circadian medicine and things like that. But that's to check your circadian alignment.
Yeah.
That's to test your fatigue. That's to test, your focus, your
Yeah.
alertness.
Totally.
And that's really kind of what that's what your people are trying to accomplish.
Sure. Yeah.
And the good news is that it can change with photobiomodulation too, even during the day,
Yes.
things like that. So we'll turn it back and we'll talk about the book. I want to try to go through my little notes here that I had. But
Yeah.
Molly, I have this thing too. Um, and I don't know if this is going to do this, but we have like I had a thing. I have my. I don't know if this is good, but I have 2,000 recoveries recorded in my Whoop. That's
Okay.
5.5 years.
Sure. Yeah.
My average recovery score is 62.
Okay.
That's through everything, and that's like the average. The average that is a. It's better than people my age. I have a sleep performance of 92.4. That's in the top 10% of all Whoop members.
Sure.
Everyone, right?
Yeah.
And 27
Yeah.
better than people my age. Don't you think those are is that something valid to kind of to say
Yeah.
that? I am doing it. That's for 5 years, 3 COVIDs, right? Tachycardia, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I would love that because I think, as far as like the timelines and ability to get to all the things, because we're starting to move to kind of somewhat shorter episodes, so maybe more in like the 35-minute or
Yeah.
so time frame. So a little bit of time to get in all kinds of things. So I think potentially what I'm hearing to the photobiomodulation piece. And then I think, yeah, focusing on given the tech leaning, I think a lot of people would like to know, okay, so having heard that, then what are some of the takeaways from an on the ground perspective that people need to know if they are interested
So
in
that's
playing a similar game? Yeah.
you're always practical on that. So how I kind of envisioned it was like you know, you are about giving weekly tips on circadian health.
Yeah.
And I think I want to talk about that. And let's just see how it goes. If we don't get
Yeah.
enough, we don't get enough. But, you know, I think I want to bounce around. How I broke it down was, first of all, you know, what you do and how light photobiomodulation really is circadian medicine. And then
Course.
training versus therapy. So therapy is the skills that you must develop. Training is, you know, treatment is, or therapy is things that you do, right? And if we improve why do we get better? Things like that. We'll see. I know
Yeah.
35 minutes is good, but I'm much
Totally.
better than that Lex Friedman 3.5 hour stuff. Come on. I
Ah,
never even,
I
don't even listen.
know.
I can't get to
Totally.
his thing.
Oh my God, 100%. Well, and then the only other thing I'm wondering is, so, and I'm trying to remember, we shifted from 3 questions to 4 questions, at the end, and I don't know when we did that. So I don't know if you got the 4 or 3 or whatever, but, do you still want to go through those? Or are there different things that you'd want to highlight on, like, what's your nightly routine? What's your morning
Yep.
routine? What's on your nightstand? What's made the biggest change to your sleep game?
I got this. You know, there's a new app, and I think I could share this too.
Yeah.
The NeuroPeak Pro. It's a paced breathing. So I'm going to give 2 paced breathing examples, and this one that really uses HRV. It's really cool. And all these things they can go. I mean, I'll make sure that Anna gets these in the show notes.
Yeah.
I wanted to run them by you before
Love it.
blasted you on you. So all of this will kind of come through the Shopify type of thing too.
Perfect.
So I'll
And the new
speak
book.
quickly. Well, I gotta hold that up. Where's that second?
I know,
Are we
excited.
gonna have to shot?
Oh shoot, you went in and out. What'd you say? Oh, here it is.
I have a Mollie quote on the back here.
No way. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's so exciting.
Read this book, and most importantly, implement the things Dr. Joe shares. It will change your life.
Ah, yes, that's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, I've really appreciated you sending me over research too when you come across it of the direct lines around red light therapy and sleep. Just so don't feel like you have to, but if there's certain things to share about with that or whatever.
Well, you know, one of the things that's really strong is that my late research in 2022 was on photobiomodulation and the glymphatic system.
Yeah.
And how that is like such cutting edge stuff. So kind of plays into this. And it's, like I said, I've got 150 references citations of my work, and it's kind of leading the way. So,
yeah.
And it's really about what happens. Why do we want to sleep better? Go so.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, I love that. All right, so lots of ground to cover. And then we'll also include those 4 questions at the end. So that can be another place for additional things that, resources or things that you're doing. So I'm excited to hear that too. Great. So then we'll dive in, but any other things before we hit record?
No, babe, no.
Okay. The only thing I might actually do, I was just coming in from outside. So I just wanted to charge myself up real quick. Hang on. So we don't lose the laptop that would be a bummer. Hang on. And you're in Costa Rica?
Yeah, we don't have to say that.
Oh yeah, we don't have to. No, totally.
I have the volcano. I know you're going to come down someday.
Yes, 100%. Hang on just a minute. Okay, great.
How's
Perfect.
my sound, Mollie? I got the CRISPR going.
Sounds good. Totally.
And I make kombucha down here too, right? I have a kombucha company.
Yes, I do know that. Only how do I feel like through the grapevine, through Sarah, Instagram,
Toby.
different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I take. But anyway, this is going to be great. I'm excited. I have my notes and
great. Amazing. Okay, we'll jump right in. And then let's see. I'm just going to record this to my computer. So let me stop this recording and then we'll start. It's been doing this weird thing. Let's get this. Okay, we're better. I'm using Fathom and it's like further complicating my record system. And then I just have to count to 5 for my audio guy and then we can jump right in. Amazing. Okay, great. And welcome to the Sleep is a Skill podcast, a returning guest. Oh my goodness, so happy to have you here. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Mollie. Great to be here again.
Totally. And I know we had a fantastic conversation a few years back, and we were just kind of regaling over that before hitting record. I know we got on a lot of, dove into a lot of topics around traumatic brain injury, red light. We touched on HRV. So now today we're going to be shifting gears into some new content, and maybe it could begin to share a little bit about why for you this is such an important area when we talk about sleep being a skill. And I know you're quite skilled yourself, even measurably, with the Whoop numbers, which I think people might be interested in. But yeah, just kind of share a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, thank you, Mollie, and it's great to be here with your listeners. Hopefully, we're going to give them some good insights. And as I said, I have my book, the new book, and that's kind of what we were talking about. I have a Mollie Eastman quote on the back. So very excited about that.
I'm a big fan of that book, by the way. Thank you for putting that together. I know it took a lot.
This is a couple of years, right? And it's 1,000 references, and it sort of talks about the story. And even though it's there, we're really trying to get the point across that light, photobiomodulation, our thing, is circadian medicine.
Yes.
And you got to kind of use it that way. When you're talking about putting light on in the doctor's office at 12 o'clock, versus doing it at home in your bed, before bed. And then when you wake up, has a whole different thing. That's sort of like where we want to push this scenario. And that's really a cutting edge type of thing. And I know you're on the forefront of this, and so are your speakers. And because that's kind of what you focus on, right? Is this circadian medicine. You're really on the forefront, right?
I'm so passionate about this topic, and I cannot wait for it to continue I think we're starting to see it rippling to a certain extent, but to really become a part of the conversation of the blueprint by which we put all of the amazing health interventions. Where do we put the cold plunge? Where do we put the sauna? Where do we put the photobiomodulator? Where do we put all these things? And suddenly a blueprint emerges when we are following these rhythms.
And, when I say how you've touched on this field about a sleep recovery, is like your sleep is a skill, and that's because you offer training to people mostly. How do they do these things? It's a kind of not a typical Western medicine approach, which is a treatment.
Sure. Yeah.
But there are applications and treatments that you can use that can augment it and move these things, and that's kind of what we're talking about. Is we offer both recipes or training, which people need, but also a treatment that sort of makes it passive. You just put the light on at the right time, at the right place, and away you go, right?
Yeah. And I'm hoping you can further, because I know we got into it a little bit in that old episode, but it was so long ago. And I'm sure if anyone's new to this, why would we connect red light therapy and sleep? What's the practical application? Or sometimes we hear people say, yeah, I tried it a little. I don't know. I didn't notice any difference in my sleep, so I didn't use it. Like, how do we kind of shake that, message a bit more?
Well, let's look at it a different way. Look at it a different way, because hopefully we're going to touch on that. But really, what's the point? If you have, what do you do? Why does good sleep help us? Let's put it a different way. Right? Let's think of it this way. People say, it's hard to change people, but I say, if you change your sleep, you will change who you are.
Totally.
And people don't get that if they're sleep deprived. And let's put it this way. The stats better than me. When we're driving around town or on the highways like we're doing here, you don't really assume that the 10, 15, or 20 people that are passing by you every couple of minutes, that we should be afraid of them.
Yeah.
Because they are not functioning mentally too well because they're sleep deprived.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's true, right? 80% of the U.S. population is not getting enough sleep, something like that, right?
Large swath, certainly. Yeah.
So, when you think about the sleep and the capability of a professional race car driver and his reaction time, right? Versus Bob, the plumber,
Yeah.
right? Who hasn't slept more than, or these things. We realize that sleep is having an impact on our lives on every which way. And so if you get better sleep, why does it make you a different person? Why do you get better, Molly? What do
Mm.
you see people improving in their lives, their emotions, their relationships, their decision making, their insulin, their ability to not make snap decisions when they eat. Well, do you have an idea why? What's your theory on to why people get better if they get better sleep?
Oh, I mean, how much time do we have? So one, I've been giving talks all over talking about how every area of life, I haven't had someone kind of yet be able to share an area of life that isn't impacted, that's connected to us when we aren't sleeping sufficiently. And then particularly, of course, from cognition and mental health. And so how we show up in the world around us. But certainly, I know one of the areas that you'll be touching on too is the glymphatic component and the ability to have that brain working the way we want that brain
That's
to be working,
right.
which is pretty crucial.
And that's the thank you for the nice soft pitch there,
Oh,
because
totally.
that's
But
that's really
huge.
the focus of our work. And again, here we're going to get into why the light therapy or photobiomodulation can help us. I like to get away from the red light because it's kind of red and infrared. They
Yes, please. Yeah.
move
Yep.
together, and it's not really panel. It's kind of, you kind of got to touch the skin. So that's
Yeah.
let's keep that caveat for optimum changes. It's still circadian medicine because if you have a panel on there, and you're meditating in front of it, that it's really not getting into you that much, but at least you're
Yeah.
not turning on the blue LED lights around you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's good that way. And I think
Right.
I made that point before. But what is the benefit of all this good sleep, extra sleep? Is it because we dream more, Molly? I know we talked about that. No,
Yeah.
it's not because we dream more. It's because we're hopefully activating the brain's immune system and the
Yeah.
brain's healing system, which is the glymphatic system. And it's only been around for like 10 or 15 years, this type of thing.
Yeah.
Since 2011.
So,
And
yeah.
my colleague is going to be presenting in Lund, Sweden at the Glymphatic Symposium next month. Some of
Mm,
our stuff. So I mean, we're
exciting.
really deep into this. And that is actually when the immune system gets going. That's when the brain is really healing itself. It's like the cleaning ladies can go into the office. So like if you work in the stock market, right, and all those ticker tapes, everything, there's all this noise and everything like that. But at nighttime, when everything's quiet, then the people can go in where there's not so much brain activity and do that cleanup. And that is when you doing it is in your sleep. So my premise is your brain health improves because your deep sleep or your sleep circadian or these types of things that are used can wash these toxins out and reduce the neural inflammation that we have, which makes us be really who we truly are. Because
Yeah.
we're not supposed to be us with neuroinflammation and toxic load and all this stuff. That's really not us. And if you really want to be yourself, you need to dedicate your time for sleeping and the therapies and the treatments and the training to accomplish these things to be the best you can be. Like you say, show up,
Oh,
right?
I could not agree more. Many people that have tuned into this podcast have heard me talk about my excitement for some of the work that Dr. Chris Palmer is doing to shed light on this kind of potentially new way of looking at the field of psychiatry and looking at metabolic psychiatry, mitochondrial psychiatry. And it just makes me think of that from what you're sharing, right? Totally. The
When I
brain
say,
matters.
I
Yeah,
did make up the title. The subtitle is The Neurometabolic Solution. So it's a
exactly.
excuse me, the neurometabolic solution. So I want to be too bold, but really that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Is you have to charge the batteries, and there's different ways that we can do this, and you know like our big push is sure putting the light on you during the day and everything like that, that can help the system and circulation and everything like that. But our protocols are really made to do at home twice a day, you know, in the dark, laying down just before bed. And then it kind of increases that blood flow to the brain. And you know, we've got research going on all over the world right now that's demonstrating these changes in blood flow and fluid. We call it neurofluid movement because there's a lot of stuff that's inside the head there that the light has reactions to. So it has a calming effect, has a strong parasympathetic effect where you need it. And the infrared light has, you know, these different wavelengths go in and they affect different cells, the water and everything. So there's stuff can flow a little bit better. Vasodilates, the blood and the fluids kind of flow a little bit easier. So you can get it into the areas that it needs to go. And then this kind of has a little bit more power to wash this stuff out and flush it out. And that's when you need to have detox and then, you know, sweat and gut and everything like that. So it's all one system. And you know what? You know, Perry Nicholson, Stop Chasing Pain. He's a big guy on this lymphatic drainage
Sure.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I had been, you know, was able to groove with him on his podcast and talk with him a little bit. And, you know, I said to him, you know, Perry, is the lymphatic system of the body, why is it there? Is it there to serve the body or is it there to serve the brain? And just like that, he said, it's there to serve the brain, right? The brain is a highly metabolic area in this very limited space, right? So it can't hold the toxins in there. Or guess what happens? You get Parkinson's, you get brain fog, you get all this stuff. So it has to wash that stuff out through the lymphatic system and through the organs and through this whole system to detox the body. So you're kind of right on that in everything that you're talking about and the people that you have on this talk to get these things going, because we know that it's effective for brain fog, photobiomodulation, the transcranial, putting the light on there. We have devices that go around the neck that kind of boom, push the fluid up into the head. So you're getting a nice systems approach. Everything that the light touches has an effect, the skin, the tissues that are underneath it. And it's not just the person that says, well, I know it's my bedtime, but I don't feel sleepy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, like, you know, your whole, all your microbiome, your muscles, your organs, everything is on a circadian rhythm. And if you want to play with that, you know, think of the 90 trillion cells in your body sitting there waiting for you because you're supposed to do your job, right? And you're not doing your job, which is feeding your circadian cycle. But photobiomodulation is a great way to, you know, get in that rhythm and get everything on the move.
Oh,
You do okay on that one?
so good. Yeah, 100%. Like, one thing for many people that might be tuning in, there might be varied reasons why they're listening. Maybe they're struggling with their sleep. They want, you know, kind of support immediately. And this could be one of those things that they could potentially delve into. And then there's the other people that they're tracking, they're sleeping, but they're just looking to up level their stats. And I know you're someone that has been well versed in your stats and you've got some great stats of your own. And would you say that, do you attribute the photobiomodulation to some of the success with your stats and the prioritization of lymphatic drainage? What do you think there?
Well, you know, my history is kind of similar to yours in a way, in that I suffered multiple traumatic brain injuries throughout my life.
Yeah.
And I really was slipping, you know, emotionally, cognitively. Things were going down for me. I didn't realize, you know, I didn't abuse myself really because I had to take care of people. You know, being a doctor of chiropractic, it's like, and I was a chiropractic neurologist. It's like a brain surgeon. You can't just go in and be hungover and, you know, so you had to be kind of strict. But really, I didn't understand that my traumatic brain injury, my concussions over time were building up, which they show, that messes up your sleep cycle, right? You can't clear out that neuroinflammation and you're on high alert. Your sympathetic nervous system is going on. I didn't know all this stuff. But 5.5 years ago, I got a whoop, right?
Yeah.
And I started to pay attention. And I said, even after the first even after I started looking at this, I said, I'm going to be indestructible if I get this stuff down, right?
Yeah,
And
totally.
then the Whoop just had a Cristiano Ronaldo on, right? And they were
Sure.
giving out his stats. And I said to myself, I can ask the Whoop AI, what's my stats, right? So
Yeah.
I had, so 5.5 years, and this is 5 years, through 5 COVIDs and, all this bad stuff. My lifetime average recovery score for 5.5 years is about 62%. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Pretty good.
And my lifetime average sleep performance is 92.4%. That's in the top 10% of all Whoop members,
Yeah.
and 20% better than most the average in my age group. Right, the average in my age group of 60 to
Totally.
65 is like 77%, and
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo was only 81%. Right, my
Uh-huh.
lifetime strain score is 12.2, and my heart rate variability is 32% higher than the average man using Whoop. Average man, not
Yeah.
my HRV is 54, right? At 63, and the average for men my age is 41. So it's 40%
Totally.
of I practice what I preach. How about this one? Because this is a lot to do with longevity. I think that my average resting heart rate, if it's not just average heart rate, is 56. Well, in the morning, that's around 49. But that's lower than 80% of men my age.
Isn't that wild?
It's
Yeah.
21% higher, lower than everybody in my age group. So, I practice what I preach. And when I do preach, people listen to me. And we found that using these Whoop metrics with our clients, we have an 86% increase in our deep sleep percentage on
Totally.
average.
Yeah.
It's good to see these numbers too, Molly. And really what we're saying is we had the biodata tracking, and we had the photobiomodulation, and that's really where the stats that we were using is watching these people improve and using this to say, hey, well, let's do it like this and let's do it like this, right? And the deep sleep is most important because that's where the immune system of the brain is working, not just the muscles. It's important for cognitive recovery, for cleaning this stuff out, right? And also for forming those memories. But we saw also the heart rate variability in our people go up at least 100%. So from 30 to 62, or maybe 13 to 26, but 100% is pretty normal. So we know that the autonomic nervous system controls the heart, and the heart controls vasodilation, right? The heart, it's part of that vasodilation. So all of these things of the photobiomodulation, increasing blood flow to the part that you put it on, right, is related to HRV. And you're going to see a lot more research on that now.
Of
So
course.
REM sleep went down about 44% in these people. And that's kind of important because too much stimulation gives you too much REM sleep. And the
Yeah.
restlessness or light sleep went down 16%. So
Mm.
when you look at the sleep architecture, it all moved in the right direction. We stole the time of, total sleep goes up, restlessness or awake time or that light sleep, which is, kind of useful, but we don't need that much of it. And the REM sleep goes down to near normal limits. And the deep sleep kind of goes up. And that's really where the money is right there. It's the deep sleep is where you can really make changes in brain health. And that comes out in humanity and your emotions, right? And
Of course.
and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, 100%. So for anyone listening, often the $1,000,000 question for people is, okay, I want to improve my deep sleep. What do I do? And naturally, I know it's a multifaceted answer and there's a lot going on, but curious if you would, for someone saying exactly that, what you might point them in the direction of.
Well, you're right there, Molly, because almost everything you do will affect your deep sleep.
Exactly. I know.
But
That's like
but
the
the but
trick.
the but the but
Yeah.
the bad news is don't do the bad things.
Ugh,
See, because
100%.
you can't take a pill. There's nothing really to take a pill really to
Exactly.
improve your deep sleep. But let's look at it a different way.
Yeah.
Can we do things that improve our glymphatic output? How about that?
Yeah.
Now we put that a different way. And then can we do things that will inhibit or hurt our glymphatic output? And so now we have a whole lifestyle question. I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw this the other day, but Bredesen did a great, Dale Bredesen has a great chapter in his book, The End of Alzheimer's, where there's a chapter that says how to give yourself Alzheimer's, right?
Yeah.
And recently they say here, ultra processed foods as an independent risk factor for poor brain health. Okay, so what does it say here? It says, what are ultra processed foods? Soft drinks, chips, chocolate, candy, ice cream, sweetened breakfast cereal, packaged soups, chicken nuggets, hot dogs, fries. So chips, fries, soft drink, right? So
Yeah.
like if you create an ultra inflammatory environment,
Yeah.
you're gonna overload the old cleaning lady in there, depending on her speed and stuff. So let's just say that you have to make the proper choices, and you
Yeah.
have to kind of all these things are about training and making the proper choices so that you can get to the goal at the end. There's no treatment that's going to get you to the end like that. You know what I mean? It's like you have to not do a lot of things. But I will give you a tip that there are some things that, like, I saw this the other day. The passion root flower. I think that's what it is. And it's one of the first botanicals made into a pharmacy, pharmacological component, and it's called digoxin. Digoxin has been shown to increase glymphatic output. Now, what basically digoxin does is like nitroglycerin, nitric oxide. That's the same thing. It enhances vasodilation, but because it makes the heart pump a little bit harder, right? So we're doing experiments in Auckland University in New Zealand on spontaneous hypertensive rats. So a rat or a human or whatever, the vessels get hard and they don't really vasodilate too much. And we're going to see if we put the light on these guys, will they, move? Will they have some more pliability in there? Because that's sort of how it works. If you don't push, you don't drain. Don't push it out. Think of it like this: the enhancing the glymphatic system, and that's not helping your deep sleep percentages. Kind of like working a dry sponge, right? You have to kind of get it wet and soak it up, and then it can soak and suck, and because that's sort of the process, how that brain works. And we're doing some research on acute traumatic brain injury. So not this people who are like you and I, like maybe 15 years later, and they go,
yeah,
geez, I hit my head skiing and I think I saw stars and I lost my breath and I think I had a concussion, and that's why, I can't really make it to work on time, and I get lost sitting at my desk, and I'm into this thing. We don't put it together. But these are people who ride their motorcycle on the side of a car, a bus, and they're in the hospital with trachea things, and their skull is removed and everything like that. And we're showing with our research, we have a research paper right now. We have 8 researchers. Each one of them is a master in their field. They have completed a narrative or systemic review of all these topics of how photobiomodulation can augment the body's glymphatic system to reduce this damage and save these people's lives, really, in the hospital bed by helping the fluids and reducing that inflammation. And that's kind of important. This survivability goes up if you put the light on these people in the ICU. So, like, that's kind of in a nutshell. It's kind of what our mission is to educate people, and if we can have those those devices in the hospital ready for these people so that they can, not only will they survive more because it increases your survivability, but will save more brain cells so they won't be so disabled once they do make it out. So we're very proud of that.
Totally. Quick tangent, curious your thoughts. I think we both know of Dr. Jack Cruz, and he has been sharing on his interest in transcranial magnetic stimulation for TBI. And just curious, since you are very knowledgeable on all things, these topics, if you endorse that or have questions on that topic.
Well, you know, the Hippocratic Oath says, first, do no harm.
Yeah.
And what we can say without a doubt is that putting light on your head doesn't make you worse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Putting light on your head, there's no negative side effects. I mean, thousands of people in all the clinical trials and everything like that, nobody gets bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we're dealing with a highly monetized system of these dock in the box, drive through, put the magnetic stimulation on your brain, they really don't know, from my perspective, and I'm not an expert in this, but they really don't know what's going on in there. And these people that I see, they come out with scrambled eggs for brains, and they are in a mess, and they don't know what happened to them. They don't know what's going on, and they don't know how to get better. So remember, we talk about toxins in the brain. So one of the things that makes a lot of toxins in the brain is just the metabolic activity of being a human and consuming all this information. So it's called like excitotoxicity. And so photobiomodulation is not stimulatory. That's the first thing you got to realize. It doesn't stimulate. That's why there's no side effects. It's acceleratory. So you're only going to go as fast as you can drive that car. It's not going to go beyond you. And that's kind of what we talk about in neurometabolic solution. You know, a person with brain fog, a person with TBI, a person with a cognitive impairment, they don't need stimulation. The brain can go as fast as it wants to. It just is slowing you down because you're toxic, right? You can't stimulate a neurotoxic, a neuroinflamed brain. You can't stimulate it. It won't go. You have to reduce that inflammation. So going in there and stimulating it's a recipe for disaster. And I think that's what the long-term studies are going to show. The people don't get better. You can't stimulate a toxic brain. That's just it.
So well said. Okay, got it. Thank you for that. And before we shift over, because I think it will be really interesting to hear the latest on how you're managing your own sleep and what we can learn from that. But before we shift gears to that, is there anything, I know this was a quick conversation, but is there anything that we really missed that you would like to address in this big topic?
I have to say that, being a friend of the show, and, we're not really, but I really endorse everything you do. I have a free app that I want to share with you guys, all the listeners, or anybody that you have there, that they can go to the Shopify, it's in the show notes, and they can do a free test, what we call the Brain Sherpa. This is the 1.0 Brain Sherpa, guiding you to better brain health and cognition. It's going to kind of tell you how things are doing. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff out there. This is going to be pretty simple. It's less than it's like a two-minute test, and it's a reaction time test. And what is reaction time good for? Reaction time is good for fatigue, recognizing that you're fatigued, right? It's sustained attention, and also it's sleep loss and circadian misalignment. So if you have a sleep debt, you're not going to be able to have problem-solving skills, or your alertness is going to go down. You're going to make bad decisions. So really, it's a way in the morning to wake up, take this test, and see, how alert am I? How is my brain working today? And you can we're going to use it with the photobiomodulation. We're going to use it maybe before sleep and after sleep, just to give you an idea. How did I spend my alertness, my energy, my focus today? And how much do I have when I'm ready to take on my day? Look, I'm doing better. Look, I did my routine and here's the result. I think that's positive.
Yes, so important. I mean, and as you're speaking too, it's such a problem because so many people don't even realize they're fatigued, or they don't realize that they've dropped the bar on what it is to navigate the world around us. So to be able to distinguish that is important. So love that.
I think it's great because, really, what do they say? TikTok and all these things, what they're after is our attention.
Yeah.
They're after
Doing
our
great.
attention.
Yeah.
And can you focus? Can you stay on task? That's brain power, right?
Yeah.
That's brain power. And this is what we're about. We sleep to improve our brain to be better people. That's basically it.
Oh, couldn't agree more. I love it. So good. And I know people are going to be so curious of how you're managing your own sleep and kind of the structure of your day to be garnering these great Whoop results. So the first question we ask everyone is, what does your nightly sleep routine look like right now?
Well, we talked about the first time, and I think I still got a couple of baths in me. My nightly sleep routine starts when I open my eyes in the morning.
Yes.
And that's kind of what we talked about.
Hallelujah.
We need to have a certain amount of activity. We need to have a certain amount of relaxation. So we active, we need to cool down and everything like that. And, but, having the sleep metrics, having my sacred time, I don't talk. Once I go to bed, if my wife wakes up in the middle of the night and says something, I don't talk because those things wake me up. I don't drink because that stuff wakes me up.
Same.
And so, you know me. I have my stuff, but I think that one of the big things is, of course, I do my transcranial photobiomodulation. I have a pad on my chest that increases the circulation in my lymphatics here. I have a pad that we designed to go around the neck that pushes the blood up there. I have an intranasal device that I use because that's a huge, blood viscosity, and it drains. That's where the glymphatics drains there in the base of your head. And then I have a wrap that goes around my head. And because I'm thin on top, I use a little pad on top of my head too. So it's a wrap technology. And I lay there, and while I'm doing my 20 minutes of transphotobiomodulation, I do a breathing app, which I'm pretty psyched about. A paced breathing is very good there. See, paced breathing, slow breathing, it's good for a lot of things, but what it's doing is actually moving the CSF. And it's actually slower you breathe, the more CO2 you have, and that creates more vasodilation. So I'm whamming away, doing my biofeedback, that's HRV biofeedback. I have a very good app for that called the NeuroPeak Pro that really uses HRV, and it really paces it. It does it the right way. So you can get the free paced breathing things. Just make sure that they vibrate so you don't have to look at the screen.
Yeah.
But this one actually reads the respiration. This is what you're actually breathing. How much in, how much out. And I think that's helped a lot. And so that's kind of it, 20 minutes. And there's no way you can stay awake after that. You go to sleep or wake up. I do some, the big 6, some lymphatic movements when I wake up in the morning, make sure I'm hydrated one more time to push that fluid out, because that's when your intracranial pressure is your highest. It's first thing in the morning. So you need to push that stuff out first thing in the morning. And people I don't think they get this, I don't think they understand that that's really a benefit of your
photobiomodulation,
your circadian medicine, and also the movements and the things that you do with it. Hydration, it's a great science, Mollie, of this, how the body and the CSF and all this stuff works, how the fluid movements and all these ancient traditions. Really what we're finding is that yoga and breathing and everything like that. Why does that help us? It's because these are helping to move the fluid. Downward dog, stand on your head, up, down, What's that doing? It's pulling this tube. So I think that's training, right? That's training.
So important.
So
missing for so many.
Yeah. Respiration is your meditation. movement is your yoga if you want, breathing. So it is training to be an optimal, a better human.
Couldn't agree more. So good. And the second question goes right back to what you initially shared, that your, great sleep begins in the morning. And so our first question is, or second question to address that is, what does your morning sleep routine look like?
Yeah, so up, as I said, photobiomodulation and then some lymphatic, activities.
Yep.
You're doing the same thing, and then make sure you're hydrated. And I think there's nothing that stops you. My
Right.
people don't. My people, we don't get fatigued, so we're ready. We're ready for the morning. We're not slow.
Totally.
We're slow to get up because we have to do our procedures, and stuff like that. But then after that, zoom.
Right. And that kind of cutting of certain things that are more hitting. So it's not like you're going to some of these elements, the alcohol, the issues that can really show up in our sleep, that you're not tapping into those. That's fantastic. Love it. Okay. So what might we see on your nightstand or in your environment at night?
I have my pads right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll have my little drink so I can finish off my I like beetroot powder and like creatine and magnesium is in my tea and some my kombucha,
Yeah.
and beetroot powder, and I think that's it. And so that'll be there. I'll finish that one. I'll take valerian root. I like valerian root at night, GABA. So I get a handful and then I hit my bed. Probably I try to start my process at 8:30 to 9, depending on what's happening. And boom, boom. So I have digoxin. I have a little digoxin once in a while. I put a couple drops on my tongue just to
Totally. Yeah.
give me a
Just
push.
even it all out. Okay.
Pretty
Fantastic.
pretty clean.
Yeah, great. Okay, so then the last question, so far to date, what would you say has made the biggest change to your sleep game? Or said another way, maybe biggest aha moment in managing your sleep?
I fumbled this question the last time, and I think I'm going to fumble it this time too. But
Ah, well, it keeps
but
evolving, we're never done. So
I think that the aha moment, and I think my wife shared this with me, is that you don't know. Like I used to say, when it's a sensory thing, it's a personal thing. You like someone who's going deaf. They don't know they're going deaf, but everybody else does.
yeah,
And
right.
it's the same thing when you're sleep deprived. I'm not angry.
Yeah.
I'm not short tempered. I'm not that. I'm not gruff. I'm not like this, and I'm not like that. And that kind of was my aha moment. That personality that I carried around with me. It's like really not me.
Mm,
It really wasn't me.
yeah,
It was my bad sleep hygiene and all these other things like
same.
that. So
Yeah.
people aren't going to recognize that in themselves. But if someone listens to this, it's different. They're longing for change.
Yeah.
Realize you can't change without energy. And the energy is what you build when you're taking your good habits and doing the good trainings that Mollie's explaining, and building your own energy reserves. That's really what your job is to do, to be there. If you're the mother, if you're the lover, if you're the surgeon, if you're the bus driver, if you're the cook, that's really your job, is to show up as your best self.
Mm. Preach. I love it. That is so, so important. And I think it's just such an untapped resource for so many people, because we see it's such an epidemic with people struggling with their sleep and not even knowing what's available. I mean, you're certainly, I'm clear, in a similar camp to my experience of now. It's like there's no going back to how that what, right? Can you imagine? No way. And so it's like this addiction to feeling good. I have zero interest in how I used to feel. But I think so many people just think that that's life. Like that's how you feel. You wake up, you're dragging, you just, hit the coffee, you hit whatever, it doesn't have to be like that.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think that's a great statement. And as I said, Mollie, you have that stuff. There's resources. It's very simple to start. And
Yeah.
sometimes what's the pain point? You know, you find people, if I had to do right, and the one message that I tell all my people is do something and do it now.
Yeah. So good.
Do it now.
People need that.
Don't wait.
Yeah.
Do it now. That's
Yeah.
my message.
Oh, I love it. Well, one, thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom and all the things that you're discovering along the way. Because I know, we had the opportunity a few years back and we only scratched the surface. And same thing again here. We're only just getting into the beginnings of it. So highly recommend for people to check out your great book. I had the opportunity to read that. Thank you for sending that over to me. You could tell it was very clear that you spilled so much time, energy, and effort into making that happen, and really thoughtful. So really important to check that out. And I know you live your distinctions and your commitments around all this. So really appreciate you taking the time. And then did we outline all the places for people to go to find all of these? And
Yeah, I think
we'll have them in the show notes, but
it's
perfect.
we're going to make it available in the show notes and on our little Shopify. We use that for our main giveaway and such stuff like that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And we'll have to kind of keep this going.
Thank you, Mollie. Thanks,
Thank
everybody. See you
you.
soon. Good night.
Yay! Good
Good
night.
night.
Sleep well. Okay. All right. I stopped the recording, but it's still doing this note taker thing. So, but we're done with that piece. Amazing. That was fantastic. So, I think we did a good job at hitting on some of the major topics within a, relatively short period of time. So that was great.
That was a great second date.
Yeah, totally. So good. Thank you
But you
for
see how
that.
it shined light? See how it shined light on what you were doing? You see how it's important and some of the reasons why? I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be
Totally.
great. I think we have a nice little synergy.
Yes, I love
Say
it.
say hi to Blake. Tell him I
Oh,
said hi.
I will definitely. Totally.
Okay.
I know. And I still need to, are you still doing, because I feel like I never moved on this. You had shared with me about your platform. Are you still using that platform as far as the aggregate with your friend and pulling in, stats and what have you, like the
Yeah,
Whoop?
we have that. We have that. There's a heads up for health and all this stuff right now. I mean, like I said, this chest strap thing that I designed that 5 years ago, and now the technology caught up to make it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not
Totally.
mine. That's how I would make it. But they have.
Right.
In my next life, I won't be a product designer. I'll medical device designer. I'll be a programmer because then it makes it a little easier.
The world
Because I'm
needs
like,
it.
yeah, and do this and do this and do this, and they're like, yeah, well, that's $30,000 for this iteration.
Yeah.
But we're coming along. I'm very happy to have the first iteration of the app. We've got some, the most powerful device on the market. So we're very happy about that. We're doing great research. And so that biodata is already built into the system. So whatever system we use, like we have our own device. We're making our own device. So I don't have to,
Exciting.
if they want to use the biodata of their own ring, whatever.
Yeah.
If I don't have access to like the Oura Ring thing, that company got sold. The dashboard company got sold, and who knows what they're doing with it now. So
I know. Oh, it's been so ridiculous. Yeah. I know. They gave us free seats because the pricing would have been insane. Like we've been grandfathered in for so many years, but it's like they they sent through the receipt and it would have been like, I don't even know, like thousands and thousands of dollars. Bizarre. Anyway,
from the Aura dashboard.
yeah, from the Aura dashboard.
And like you saw, this is the thing that really scared me because everybody's like, I got 4 hours of deep sleep. I'm doing great. And I was like, no, you're wrong. It was that Oura Ring was not doing a good job on a deep sleep. And then they grew to version whatever. And everybody said, but it's more
More
real.
accurate. Yeah, totally. 100%. But that used to frustrate me because I would see, like, between you and I, like, Peter Attia was a big speaker on this, which was bizarre because he was an investor. So he, of all people, should have known that that was the least accurate information, especially then. I mean, now it's gotten a little bit better, but people would be
That's what
making
we said.
decisions on these numbers, and you're like, what? It's nuts.
And did you have Chuck Hazard on yours? Did you have Chuck
Yes.
Hazard?
Yeah.
So Chuck is a great guy.
Yeah.
We've been banging around, banging on these things, and that's really the scenario is he we decided it's fraud basically. You're giving
Yeah.
these people information, then they're making decisions, but it's not accurate. So I can't come to market with my thing until it's done.
Yeah.
But we have some very, as I say, I touched on a couple pieces of that research, and it's pretty unbelievable, really. I mean, it is believable, but the level of scientific expertise that we have working with ProNeural Light Pad is really phenomenal. That's what we're going to get more good stuff and better ways to take care of people.
Amazing. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah. What was the name? Because I was blanking on it's because I know of Heads Up Health and I've worked with them. But yours is different, right? You have a different one that actually involves Whoop. Like you're able to stream
Well,
in Whoop, or is that
I don't think
still?
that they let him. I don't think they let him in anymore. Whoop won't talk to anybody anymore.
They won't, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. It was because I remember you were saying this and it was like so amazing because it's been so tricky for people to have that workaround because I meant to circle back with you about that. Yeah, they cut
They
that, right?
sold the company. It was Edward something, and then he sold it to this guy, and then it hasn't
Yeah.
really made much movement on it.
I know. So ridiculous. Okay. Well, totally, continue to keep me posted as you're rolling out all of these innovations and happy to share in whatever way we can help people with their sleep. Sounds amazing. Yeah, so great.
I'll put the link that I sent you. The link. Let me see if I can get this straight.
Yeah.
The link that goes in the show notes to my ProNeural Light Shopify
Okay.
with all the freebies
Yeah.
and all the links is going to be your affiliate link.
Oh, beautiful.
So
Great.
I'll put it in one more time. This is the last show notes. How long until this is ready to go? Till this hits the air?
We've had a bit of a delay because we are backlogged. So it's been now like over a month and change has been the latest, but I gotta find out from Anna, but somewhere in that frame.
That's not bad at all. That's not bad. We'll have everything ready by then. No.
It's a work in progress.
The last one did it. I've done 2 or 3 that never even made it to air. So
I understand. I know. Jeez, it's so wild. Oh, but yeah, so just a little delay, but once that gets out, that will be great. We can share that. And more to come. So yeah, let's stay connected, but congrats on all that you're rocking and rolling on. Amazing.
Thanks, I think we're supporting each other. I think that's the way it
Totally.
goes. And that's why I like-minded people. Let me know if you think I should be a guest on someone else's thing. I mean, you're right there with a lot of this. You're going to all these conferences. You're in Austin, for crying out loud.
I know.
Yeah,
so wild.
You can't take a piss without running into green juice, right?
Or nowadays, like meat, so carnivore centric or something over here. So wild. Totally. All right. Well, yeah, let's definitely stay connected. Lots more to come. And I'm sure I'll be seeing Sarah soon, which every time I talk to Sarah, I talk about you. And yeah, it's so good.
She's coming. I'm helping with her coaching, helping her
Good.
out. She's getting going. She's getting to do great things too.
Yay. Amazing. All right. You rock. More to come. Bye.